Welcome back. Today we are in the training room at Hague Quality Water at the corporate office, and I'd like to discuss with you today the optional adapters that are available to install the equipment, the Watermax equipment. We're going to move over to a Watermax unit right here. On this unit here you will see the 1-inch CTS CPVC adapters. These adapters come standard with all the equipment. Moving on over to the optional adapters, we have a 1-inch copper adapter. Next we have a 3/4 inch British pipe thread adapter. The next adapter here is a 1-inch to 3/4 inch copper adapter. This adapter here can be modified and cut and left to be a 1-inch adapter. Next adapter is a 3/4 inch PVC adapter. These adapters that we just looked at are all optional from Hague as a manufacturer. Over here we have 2 additional adapters. Last week we got a phone call from a dealer in California who was working on installation that was 1 1/4 inch, and they were not allowed to reduce the plumbing. So the question was, do 1 1/4 inch adapters fit onto our bypass housings? So we went out to the local Home Depot, and they had 1 1/4 inch adapters in PVC and 1 1/4 inch adapters in copper. Have a set of each here, and as you can see, they thread nicely onto the bypass housing.
Okay.
If you do plan on using this type of an adapter, I do recommend you grab your tape and do a couple wraps of the threads. 2 or 3 wraps around the threads will be nice. You don't need 10 or 12, but just a couple wraps of tape around the threads to make the adapter seal to the housing. There are several new dealers out there today, and for even dealers that are experienced, I want to make sure everybody understands the proper way to attach the adapters to the bypass housing. When you get a unit, it's going to come with your adapter, whether it be the standard CTS CPVC adapter that you use, or the 1-inch copper, or what have you. It'll come with the adapter, the nut, and an O-ring or gasket. Okay. Simply put the adapter through the nut, and then your gasket or O-ring will follow in behind the adapter. Okay. And then you simply thread it on to the bypass housing. As we were going over the adapters here, the optional adapters, you may have noticed on this valve here a new bypass assembly. Okay. Testing is finishing up out in the factory. We'll be concluding soon, and you will soon see this bypass on the HC3 line of equipment and on the V25 valves. We've incorporated all the features that were on the old bypass onto this new bypass. You still have your blending valve, which allows raw water to be blended back in with the product water for those customers that you run into every once in a while that don't like the feel of soft water. I do not recommend using the blending dial if there is iron, sulfur, or manganese present in the raw water supply. Those constituents will blend right back in with the hardness. Here is your bypass knob. Simply turn the knob to put it in service or to move it over to bypass. There are 2 arrows that symbolize the service position, and then on the opposite side there is a U shape on the bypass to symbolize bypass. Your test port now comes off the top of the bypass. It used to be on the side. The test port allows you to pull a sample of water right off the unit without any interference with the plumbing. You don't have to run upstairs to the kitchen sink or to another tap to get a sample of water. Simply open up your test port and you get a sample of the product water coming right out of the equipment. We've also eliminated on the left end and the right end cap, we've eliminated the 6 screws Okay, they've been replaced by a large durable nut that simply screws on or threads on to the housing and is sealed with an O-ring. Inside the new bypass, you will have a different style of axle pin as well. The old style axle pin, if it was damaged, fell out, or was bent at an angle, you basically had to replace the whole bypass assembly. It really wasn't field serviceable. As you can see, this axle pin here is removable. If something is defective on it, it breaks, you can replace it. The turbine simply sits on the axle pin just like it would on the old one and spins. On the equipment, you're probably also seeing the new style of drain-in cap. Okay, what they did was they extended the drain-in cap a little farther out to give it clearance on the new style bypass.
Okay.
I sent a bulletin out that talked about the standard 1-inch CTS CPVC adapters. If you don't use those and you prefer to use another style of adapter, whether it be the 1-inch copper, the 3/4 inch copper, or what have you, you can order the other adapters. You can box up the 1-inch CTS CPVC adapters, the unused, clean adapters in good working condition, and ship those back to us for credit. Now, I also recommend that you put the quantity or the number of adapters in the box so we can get those credited to you a lot quicker.